You can call NVIDIA a chip seller, but that's like calling the ocean a puddle. Beneath the massive market cap is a machine that turns electricity into compute, turns data centers into idea factories, and turns invisible software into moats that lock down an entire ecosystem. Today, we go inside a world-class company, how they design moats, lock in power across the supply chain, and build the compute empire that's rewriting the rules of the economy. NVIDIA was born from graphics, grew up with gaming, but came of age with CUDA. When they opened the door for GPUs to do more than render, solving problems in science, finance, robotics, and artificial intelligence, the game changed. CUDA isn't just a programming language. It's a psychological contract with millions of developers. Write your application here and we'll make sure it runs faster, more stable, and more power efficient with every hardware generation, every math library, every kernel optimization. Every stable driver is another brick that raises the wall competitors will need years to climb. Switching ecosystems isn't swapping a chip, it's changing habits, tools, data pipelines, human skills, and product launch calendars. That switching cost is future profit locked in by software. But software is only half the story. The other half is systems. NVIDIA has turned a slice of silicon into a rack-scale architecture. As models hit hundreds of billions and trillions of parameters, buying loose single GPUs stops making sense. Customers buy clusters, dozens or hundreds of GPUs woven together by NVLink and NVSwitch to act like one unified superprocessor. On top cite NVL72 reference configs. Beneath are optimized data networks, liquid cooling, and stable power delivery. From the buyer's perspective, they're purchasing time. Shorter training time, lower inference latency, faster time to feature. And when time becomes the pricing unit, NVIDIA can command software-like margins on hardware. A world-class company never stands alone. It stands on a dense supply chain and global alliances. At the top is TSMC with advanced fabs and 2.5D/3D packaging. Around it are scarce HBM suppliers. Downstream are Dell, HPE, Supermicro, hyperscalers, and neoclouds, converting capital to compute by the gigawatt. In Europe, national alliances chasing AI sovereignty are ordering by campus. Across Asia, emerging markets are mapping infrastructure roadmaps so they don't miss the agentic AI wave. NVIDIA orchestrates it all with a common tongue, end-to-end technical standards, and a software tool chain. They don't wait for demand to knock, they bring the blueprint for the intelligence factory and set it on the table. That's why NVIDIA's recent revenue engine is compressive. As data center explodes, traditional graphics is increasingly just the front door for mainstream brand awareness. The real growth comes from organizations refactoring workflows, rebuilding data stores, and re-architecting apps to exploit GPU power at cluster scale. In the past, companies bought servers to run off-the-shelf software. Today, they build compute factories to produce their own AI models and services. NVIDIA sells that assembly line. Programming tools, compilers, optimized libraries, and hardware that behaves like a single organism. Why are they considered world-class? First, cycle speed. While hardware is often seen as lumbering, NVIDIA moves like a software shop. Rapid releases, tight feedback loops, optimizations tuned to real workloads. Second, blended margins. When customers buy solutions, margins aren't capped by raw materials. They reflect the value of time and productivity. Third, a culture of simulation. From using their own GPUs to model sunlight through office skylights, to simulating heat, airflow, data, and communications in a data center, simulate before build informs every decision. Fourth, full stack road mapping. NVIDIA doesn't sell a lone component off a tech store shelf, They sell a map from research to deployment with planned stops. Data ingest, fine-tuning, guardrails, monitoring, cost optimization, and finally, customer narrative. Whether you're in banking, ads, healthcare, manufacturing, or government, you're not buying tops or flops. You're buying the ability to turn ideas into services on a predictable timeline. Of course, every empire has its shadows. First, customer concentration. If a few mega customers drive a large share of a quarter, growth can wobble when they delay plans or build in-house ASICs for niche workloads. Second, supply chain bottlenecks. HBM and advanced packaging can't scale overnight. Octal grid capacity and cooling also take time to expand. Third, geopolitics. Export licenses and regional rules can reroute revenue by geography. Fourth, TCO competition. AMD, Intel, and internal specialty chips will press into cost-performance gaps in specific tasks, forcing NVIDIA to keep innovating to preserve overall advantage. Handled well, those very challenges deepen the moat. When HBM is scarce, whoever can coordinate supply, optimize memory architecture, compress data, and compute smarter will win. When power becomes the constraint, whoever nails liquid cooling and rack-level integration takes share. When rivals push cheaper chips for narrow tasks, NVIDIA answers with tuned libraries, smarter compilers, model partitioning, and inference techniques that pull the problem back to their strength: synchronized systems. The near future comes in 3 waves. Wave 1, migrate the fleet to next-gen rack scale. Early customers are seeing week-level gains in training time and compounding percentage savings in power. Wave 2, always-on inference and agentic AI. As models leave the shelf and run 24/7 inside real products, stable, repeatable compute demand surges, driving architectures optimized for latency and energy efficiency. Wave 3, gigawatt-scale AI campuses. Nations, cities, and conglomerates will build intelligence factories with data sovereignty, standardized on a trusted platform from silicon up to software. If there's one lesson in becoming a world-class company, it's mastering the flow of value. From the moment a researcher types the first line of code to the moment an end user taps buy in an AI app, everything rides rails NVIDIA has laid. Dev tools, data standards, optimized libraries, hardware network cooling, deployment, and observability methods. When the whole journey is channeled, value isn't an accident, it's reproduced by design. And when value is reproducible, growth doesn't need luck. That's why many call NVIDIA a $3.721 trillion empire. The number may move with the market, but the value creation structure is stickier. One day, today's chips will be artifacts, but software moats, system standards, partner networks, and the culture of simulating before building will keep compounding. World-class isn't a title, it's the discipline to repeat the extraordinary on schedule. And that's why the economy now paces itself to them. Whoever holds compute writes the rules. Comment NVIDIA below. For now, tell me, what kind of guardrails would you want your country to have? And remember, Billionaire Investment will keep uncovering the master blueprints of power shaping the AI era. Like, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because this is just the beginning of the most powerful story of our time.